Hello, everybody, and welcome to Level the Field Leadership. My name is Dr. Rachel Gallardo, and as always, I'm very thankful that you've decided to join in and to listen to something that could be very advantageous for you as you develop your leadership skills, not only professionally, but also personally as well. If this is your first time, I'm very happy that you're here. Don't have to do anything at all, just listen in. And if you know of somebody that might benefit from this information, feel free to share it. But if not, obviously, you're not obligated to do anything at all. I'm just thankful that you're here. If it is your first time, I want you to know that I created this podcast because I do believe that workplace burnout is very real. And anything that we can do to reduce burnout and fatigue in our leadership roles will have a positive impact on our team, a positive impact on us. It helps us to be better moms and dads and brothers and sisters and friends. And so anything that we can do in those ways to changes that we can make so that way we show up 100% for the people that we care about is super important. So when we talk about this whole idea of energy management, I'm not going down this world of like voodooism or not anything too honky that's out there, but I do believe that we all kind of operate in kind of this natural rhythm. Some of us just do better at certain times of the day. And so that's what I want for us to focus on. And so while you're listening, I want for you to think about times where maybe you shouldn't have scheduled a meeting that late. You shouldn't have made a decision at that time because for whatever reason, you just didn't really have the bandwidth to be able to make the decision, but you made the decision anyway, and then it came back to kind of bite you in the butt. So that's what I want for you to think about as we're talking through the different topics. For those of you that are watching me on YouTube, hi, nice to see you. You get to see all of my verbal like hand gestures and see all the toys that are in the background. My son's asleep right now. I've got him on the monitor, but welcome. I'm so glad that you can see me in person to see the beautiful chaos that is podcasting. And for those of you that are repeat listeners, thank you for continuing to support. Thank you for continuing to reach out. And you guys know that the vibe around here, I do kind of base everything off of scripture that's just kind of sitting on my heart, things that I've been thinking about lately. And so today's scripture is Psalm 127:2. In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for he grants sleep to those he love. Which, side note, I use this verse quite a bit because I'm one of these people that the minute I decide to go to sleep, bam, I'm out. Those of you that have to lay in bed for 30, 45 minutes, an hour before you go to sleep, like, why? I don't understand it. My husband is one of these people that's him. He's got to lay there for 30, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour before he finally goes to sleep. And I'm like, why? Why? I was like, I guess God just loves me more because, when it's time to go to sleep, it's time to go to sleep. So if you're like me, welcome. I'm very happy that I have other people like that. But if you are the type that it takes you a little bit longer to go to sleep, I understand where you're coming from because I'm very empathetic to it because my husband has that challenge as well. So, okay, let's go ahead and get into it. So, there are a number of leaders that say that they're just exhausted. And I do hear this quite a bit. You see leaders talk about it. You see them almost borderline complain about it because they're just tired. There's just so many things that they have to do. They've got so many things on their plate. And so you hear a whole lot about time management and about organization and delegation and all of those are important elements. So I'm not trying to dismiss how important and critical those things are. But there is a big difference between time management and energy management. And so when we talk about this idea of burnout, it's not necessarily that you're doing too much, but you're doing all of the things all of the time in times that you just don't really have the bandwidth to be able to do it. So my question to you is, are you really and truly organizing your calendar around your capacity? So if you're more of a morning person, do you try to get that intentional focus time more in the morning, or are you continuing to try to do it in the afternoon and then you wonder why you're not able to focus the way that you should? If you are more of a night owl, that should be where some of your more deeper focus time comes into place, especially if you're one of these people where it does take you a little bit before you go to sleep. I mean, I wish I were a night owl. I wish that I could be somebody that whenever the rest of the world is kind of falling away that I could really focus in and get things done. But me, it just doesn't work. I mean, by 9:30, I'm just done. I'm ready to go to bed. But I can wake up at 6 and be fairly decent and ready to go. So I've noticed that my power window is kind of between that like 9 to 11 hour. I can really focus in. My energy seems to be at its peak. And so I really try to schedule my more intense, deeper work during that time. Now, it can be a little challenging, especially if you've got littles running around. So sometimes you have to bite the bullet and do things whenever they're asleep or in between nap times or whatever. But if you're talking about like your work environment, the place that you're at 40 hours a week, you have the kind of this natural rhythm where you do work a little bit more efficiently. And so I want to challenge you to really kind of think about what are the times of the day that I really am the most efficient, and am I scheduling time to get my most important work done during that time? So let's kind of talk about it a little bit. So I'm alluding a little bit to circadian rhythms, and circadian rhythms kind of focus on a 24-hour period. I truly hope you're not working 24 hours in a day, but your circadian rhythm is going to determine when your most productive times actually are. So there will be some ebb and flow. Some of this has to do with hormones. There's been a time change, anything like that can kind of disrupt it a little bit. But when we talk about the times that we're strongest, you have some people that are just more naturally stronger in the morning, and then other people that are just more naturally stronger in the afternoon. And so I want for you to really think about when your peak energy periods are. And then I want for you to take any time that you know that you have a lower peak energy level and just save that for more of your mundane, administrative. I have to get this done. I don't really have to think about it, but if I don't do it, it's a bigger problem. That's when you should be doing more of your transactional work. So, whenever you have more of your energy, that's where your transformational work occurs. When you have lower energy, that's more transactional work. I mentioned before that for me, periods of my highest energy levels are usually between that like 9 a.m. to 11 o'clock window. But then for some reason, I can really get kind of a deeper, another bolt of energy, I guess you could say, usually between like 2:30 to 4. I don't know why. It's just one of those things where I get a little bit more energy. And so, surprise, surprise, guess what time of day I'm recording this episode? It also helps that the cub is asleep and so I can get some other things done, right? But we really want to make sure that our strategic thinking is done during our peak energy periods, and then our more administrative tasks are more during our lower energy periods. And I also want to caution you not to make major decisions when you know that you are mentally spent. So if you are just exhausted, you don't have the cognitive load, you no longer have the bandwidth to be able to really think through this decision, I really want to caution you to just not make a decision. And it's not that you're avoiding it, it's that you're waiting until you're in your most optimal time for decision making to finally arrive at a decision. And it's okay for you to tell whoever is asking you this question, like, you know, can you give me a little bit of time to think about that? I will have an answer for you by Thursday, but I do need a little bit of time to think about that, and give yourself that space to be able to think through whatever the issue is. That way you're making decisions whenever it's going to help you the most. So how do you know if you've got some energy mismanagement going on? A couple of different signs are there. First, you may just have decision fatigue. You're not capable of making any decisions. I know for me personally, this is why the whole "what are we having for dinner tonight" could sometimes be frustrating on my end, because you're asking me this question at 5:30. I already know that my energy level is starting to decline, and now here you go asking me what we're going to have for dinner, which, by the way, is the biggest adult decision that you will ever make every single day of your life for the rest of your life. So even just knowing that can be like, ugh, we have to eat again. Here we go. If you find that you have increased irritability, that might be a sign that maybe you're trying to do something whenever you're not at your peak energy level. If you have reduced creativity, if you don't feel like you're communicating the way that you should be, or you just know that you're exhausted. In the industry that I work in primarily, for whatever reason, we love to have meetings at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, are you sure? Like, are you sure that this meeting has to happen at 8 a.m.? I mean, at least 8:30, 9 o'clock. Give us some time to get some coffee, some caffeine in us. But if you can't go around it, if you have to be there at 8 a.m., so be it. But I mean, the chronic exhaustion is a thing, and it is impeding your ability to be able to really and truly lead your team effectively. Um, Whenever you're not operating within your your highest energy level, so you're kind of fighting your internal circadian rhythm, the rest of your team is going to see that. They're also going to feel that because of all the reasons that I just listed above. I mean, if I have to report to somebody that is increasingly irritable, has no creativity, is poor communication, I mean, right there, those are three things that I don't want out of my leader. And so if you are that person, you're going to burn out your team. You're going to set an emotional tone for the rest of your team that's really going to help them not be as effective as they could be. And then you're also unintentionally creating these exhausted cultures. I think about Winnie the Pooh and how his friends, Eeyore was always invited, his friends always invited him, but I mean, sometimes it's like, dude, come on, you can't be this down in the dumps all of the time. And you might be that leader because you don't have any energy. You're not bringing any energy to the rest of your team, and it's just simply not going to work. So there has been a lot of research on this. If you want some information on it, I'll send me an email. I'll be happy to send you out to it. But there are a lot of studies that show that sustainable leadership really does require intentional recovery, not just you being available on a constant basis. I know I also like to schedule time for just intentional, focused work. It is a non-negotiable. I'm not changing it from my calendar. If I get into a meeting that I absolutely have to be at, then I will move that time to another day out of the week to make sure that I can remain intentionally focused on what is going on. Um, to sustain yourself as a leader, you've got to hold those boundaries, which I've talked about in previous episodes, and you've got to make sure that you're operating in a way that sets you up for success. So, when we talk about this whole idea of understanding your circadian rhythm and also looking at your strengths and abilities, this is kind of the idea of the strengths-based leadership approach. And if you're an IO psychologist, you know all about this. It's in so many of our graduate programs and so much in our research, it's really ridiculous. But I want to encourage everyone that not every single solitary task requires your direct involvement. Oftentimes leaders do burn out because they're operating outside of their strengths way too frequently. Like you've got to know who is strongest on your team in different areas. You've got to recognize your strengths and you also have to recognize your own areas of improvement. I don't like to call them weaknesses because I just don't like that term. But if you can really and truly know what your strengths are and you know what everybody else's strengths are, then you can delegate things out accordingly. And that's where your strengths-based leadership theory really and truly can be impactful in the work environment. You as a leader, you should be spending more time vision casting. You should spend more time planning. You should spend more time building relationships. You should spend more time mentoring. You should spend more time reviewing the data and looking and seeing what the data says and looking at those long-term projections, those long-term trends. But if you are constantly exhausted, you're not going to be able to do that. So delegation is not just about efficiency, it's about preserving your leadership capacity, but then also knowing what your abilities are so that way you can sustain yourself and you can operate in a manner that is going to be most effective for you. So I want you to kind of stop and ask yourself, here's part one of your homework. Which responsibilities are energizing you and which responsibilities are draining you? And if you can identify what is an energy build up and what is an energy drain and start delegating those out in other ways or even automating it, you're going to see a shift in your own abilities as a leader. And ultimately, that's going to be a positive impact for your team. So that's homework number one. I want for you to think about what drains you and what sustains you, because that's really important when we talk about this idea of energy management. The other thing I want for you to do, it's actually a four-part area. So if there's some practical, very no nonsense, four things that you can implement today to start doing things a little bit better, I want for you to think about, when do I have high energy and when do I have low energy? So strategy number one, I want you to schedule according to your energy abilities. So during those high energy periods, that's when we're going to do our brainstorming. This is when we're going to do our problem solving. If you need to have a very difficult conversation with an employee, this is when you're going to have it. This is whenever we look at innovation. This is when we look at maybe making those changes that we need to make for our team and our organization to be successful. When we have those lower energy periods, this is when I want you to respond to email. um, you know, file away some things that need to be done, submit your travel reimbursement, like do your routine meetings, things like that. Things that don't require as much cognitive thought. I want for you to schedule your all of those things during those low energy periods. So that's item number one. Schedule your calendar according to when you are most effective from an energy level standpoint. Strategy number two is that I want for you to build recovery into your leadership. So you are responsible for scheduling your time. That means if you don't need to have an hour meeting, make it 45 minutes instead. So that way you've got a 15-minute window to get up, go take a walk, go have a banana, go to the bathroom, stretch your legs, whatever you have to do. Walking meetings can be very helpful. Time for reflection can be very helpful. This is something that I really encourage all leaders to do. If you can, at the end of every single day, and it's just 5, 10 minutes where you just stop and think about what all did I accomplish today? What do I need to make sure that I take care of tomorrow? What went really well? What are some things that I can do better tomorrow? What are some things that I can improve upon? And whenever you have those moments of reflection, especially if you do this on a Friday going into the weekend, you're going to find that you actually got more done than you're giving yourself credit for. But if you don't reflect on that, everything just kind of becomes a blur. And then you're like, what did I do today? And I also want, when we talk about this idea of recovery, I want for you to set those hard boundaries around after hours communication. If that means you have to turn your phone completely off, if you need to go on do not disturb, whatever it is that you have to do, you've got to have those hard boundaries, those hard deadlines. If you have done your work for a solid, diligent time of the day, whenever you get home, your family deserves to have you 100%. So if you are still taking care of things, but you're there physically, but you're not there mentally, you might as well not even be there physically. Okay. So have those boundaries around after hours communication, and set the example for your team as well. There are some times that I might work in the evening or I might work on the weekend, but I do make sure that that information doesn't land in somebody else's inbox until Monday morning because I don't want for them to feel obligated to respond just because I have decided to work. Okay, so that's item number two. Number one, we're going to schedule according to our energy level. Number two, we're going to build time for recovery and reflection in our leadership. And number four, I want for us to protect our decision-making capacity. So if there are things that you don't have to make a decision on, stop stressing it. There's a reason why Einstein wore the exact same thing every single day. He said he didn't want to spend any mental energy on things that just simply didn't matter. So he wore the same thing every single day. Rumor has it that he ate the same foods every single day. So he basically automated anything that he possibly could. So that way he had the cognitive bandwidth to be able to do all of those mathematical calculations that don't even have numbers, that are a bunch of letters, and just amazing genius of a man. So what areas can you put routine into? One thing that I do is that I set out what I'm going to wear the night before. I don't want to have to think about it, in the morning. I just want it to be done. I eat pretty much the same thing for breakfast every single day. I've got my coffee, I've got my little breakfast sandwich. I meal prep. So for lunches, those are pretty much already decided. So that way I don't have to spend any mental energy. I can take everything that I need to have my mental energy for and devote it to those things that are more important to me rather than what am I going to eat for breakfast? Okay. Whenever you create these routines and you create these systems, and it might take you a little bit, right? Like it might take you a little bit to kind of get your own natural rhythm of automating things or putting things in place. There are a ton of apps that can help with this. If you're looking for recommendations on how to streamline different things, AI can be a great tool to help you do these sorts of things. Have AI take a look at your calendar, have AI go through your emails and be like, okay, what are some things that I can automate? It will help you out. Like most of you have this co-pilot that can just do amazing things within your email. Take advantage of those things. Save your critical decisions for your peak mental performance times. Don't let some of these mundane, everyday, small decisions little by little chip away at your cognitive ability to make big leadership decisions as a whole. Okay. So we're going to schedule according to our energy. We're going to build some recovery time into our leadership, and then we're going to do everything we can to protect our decision-making capacity. And I hope that all of this has been helpful for you. I can't stress the importance behind it. For me, it really has been a journey that I've been on as far as protecting my energy levels. I've become very much aware of my nervous system. So there's a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system. They are both very much in play. Maybe I should do an episode about that because that's actually been very helpful for me from a leadership standpoint. But keep these things in mind. Do what you can to try to reduce the mental strain that you have in your day to day, and you'll find that your ability to be a leader will improve because you have the mental bandwidth to be able to handle all of that. So I hope that this information was valuable for you. You can find me on social media. So if this is your first time, hopefully you found the information valuable. Go check me out on various social media platforms. Please connect with me. I hope to inspire you on this journey and share this episode with somebody that you think might be able to benefit from it. When you share the episode, tag me so that way I can come alongside on their journey as well. I do believe that we are all made to be leaders, no matter who you're leading, no matter what your job title is. And I truly hope the topics that we discuss can help you strengthen the roots of your leadership so you can weather any storm. Take care of yourself, take care of your team. You can 1000% do this. And until next time.